Many teams coming into this NBA season had high praise, and while a lot of these teams certainly still do have high praise, we're going to go over the overachievers and underachievers of this very early NBA season. And just like usual, the Stephen Curry Warriors, similar to 2022, where they weren't expected to win a championship or be a really good team, have once gotten off to a great start with a 6-1 record to become tied second in the West. And not only that, they went undefeated in the preseason and remained dominant this time without Klay Thompson, who basically got replaced with Buddy Hield and an addition of Kyle Anderson. Buddy Hield has been the best player for the Warriors, averaging 22 points and 51% from 3, currently sitting top 15 on the MVP charts, around 7 games into the season. Lots of us thought this team was done for and had no chance to make the playoffs, but so far they are continuing to prove us wrong. And what's more impressive is that they won back-to-back games against the Pelicans, who had their star players in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. And the Warriors didn't have Stephen Curry playing or even Andrew Wiggins. Steve Kerr even messed up the lineup, benching Kuminga for Moses Moody due to spacing reasons. Kuminga hasn't played that much this season, which is why he's only averaging 13 points due to playing only 23 minutes. Even though Steve Kerr has made some questionable calls, the Warriors are still on fire with a 6-1 record. Kuminga was supposed to be the star, especially with Steph Curry being out. I would think he would be the main option. Now the Lakers have been playing all playoff caliber teams except for the Raptors. They started 3-0, beating great teams in the Timberwolves, Suns, and Kings. But they dropped 2 games to the Cavs and Suns. But after beating the Raptors, they stood 4-2. You could argue they're 5-2 because seeing Bronny get his first bucket at his hometown was worth them getting blown out by the Cavs. AD has been playing at an MVP level. JJ Redick has seemed to change the offensive playstyle, and we're seeing a less stagnant offense with more movement, cuts, and screens. The Lakers, who brought back the same roster aside from rookies in Bronny James and Dalton Connect, the expectation for this team wasn't high, especially with how they played last year, barely making the playoffs, and add to the fact that LeBron was getting older, it seemed it only could get worse. But it seems the Lakers have figured out the issue, which was the coaching problem. LeBron has been LeBron, and just like usual, still taking control of the game at almost the age of 40. One of his best performances this season was when he scored 16 points in like 2 or 3 minutes in the fourth quarter to beat the Kings. The Lakers have picked up a steal in Dalton Connect, who seems to be an absolute steal in the draft. He'll eventually find himself more into the rotation and be more of a contributor. I don't know if I could fully say the Lakers are on this list for overachievers because they just got blown out to the Pistons. They still have a good record since they have 4 wins and 3 losses of the season. The Suns also seem to be doing better this season with a big 3 in Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. The Suns getting swept last season by the Timberwolves was a major disappointment considering they were the favorites. Coming into this season, they have a lot to prove since their big 3 are all top 10 in NBA earnings. With all 3 almost making $50 million this year, they have no space to get a deeper team. Tyus Jones had to sign the minimum. They have to rely on a starting center in Yusuf Nurkic, with no other players except for Grayson Allen and a rookie Ryan Dunn, who's shown to add much to this team. They played the Lakers and Clippers twice, and made 2 comeback wins against the Clippers, and dropping 1 to the Lakers. With both games being close, they beat a really good team in the Dallas Mavericks. With beating the Portland Trail Blazers and Philadelphia 76ers, the Suns have now become 6-1 to start the NBA season, currently sitting second and tied with the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. The Suns have a lot of pressure on them this season, and while most people don't believe the Suns are contenders, as their depth and chemistry are questioned, they definitely can make some noise. While Jokic is doing everything he can to will his team to wins, Jokic is averaging 30 points this season. I believe that he will continue to do so as he has basically no choice. The rest of the squad, who lost considered depth last season, now they need these players to step up. Jamal Murray is still in a slump, coming off a bad Olympics performance and inconsistent playoff performance, despite him hitting 2 game winners against the Lakers in the postseason. Jamal Murray is shooting an inefficient 36% from the field, with 16 points per game. Considering they have no depth, he needs to have a career high this season. The team has lost KCP and Bruce Brown a season prior. This team lacks the shooting they once had. Aaron Gordon isn't a shooter, and adding Westbrook, another non-shooter, will add spacing problems. With Christian Brun in the starting lineup, he has been playing well, but he's also been playing a lot of minutes, averaging 14 points, but he isn't the defender in KCP. They can't go too deep into the roster since they have no considerable depth. This team, just like the last couple of teams Westbrook has been on, are underperforming past their expectations, and Westbrook in a way seems cursed. I believe this team will eventually figure it out. Jamal will have his stretch of greatness, and all starters will play well with Westbrook, having his time to shine. I think we'll see a couple flashes of Westbrook since a lot is expected of him. They blew a lead recently to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game that would have got them over 500. They've won their last 2 games. If this doesn't work out this season, I see a lot of players being moved around and a lots of changes coming to this roster next season. The Nuggets made 2 huge comebacks against the Raptors and now stand at 4-3, are still underachievers due to their struggles this season.
The Bucks are pretty much in the same situation, with circulating around trade rumors for Giannis, which I don't think will happen. The Bucks simply suck and are down at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, with teams like the Wizards and Pistons outperforming them. They stand at a 1-6 record, which is tied for worst in the league. And while they're missing a player in Chris Middleton, this team has championship expectations. Trading Jrue Holiday, who's fresh off a championship, the Milwaukee Bucks are stuck with Damian Lillard, who is supposed to make this team reach the next level. And last season they did. Before Doc Rivers became their main coach, they were 30-13, and since then they are now 18-24. And this has been a problem since last season. And adding another coach in Darvin Ham doesn't seem to help this team either, which is unexpected since you have one of the best players in the league paired with one of the best point guards in the league. This team has become horrible defensively, losing to teams like the Nets, Grizzlies, and Bulls. Damian Lillard, who had 41 points and 36 points, still wasn't enough to beat the Cavs. And in one of those games, Giannis was available. Giannis also had 34 points, and they still couldn't end their losing streak. The team needs Bobby Portis to step up and add more shooting to this team. This team simply sucks and will need to implement a different coach at this point. This team has just been relying on Giannis too much. He's averaging 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. The only victory was against the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that was shorthanded with Paul George and Joel Embiid. Ever since then, they have lost 6 games in a row.
Another team that is playing really well past expectation to start the season is the Brooklyn Nets. They have a great scoring duo in Dennis Schroeder and Cam Thomas. Dennis is playing like it's the Olympics and dropped 4 straight 20-point games to start the NBA season. He is now averaging 20 points per game, and Cam Thomas is showing his true scoring potential, averaging 25 points per game. He's leading his team to a 4-4 record, which is 5th in the Eastern Conference. Cam has been showing all-star potential. The Nets had impressive wins against the Bucks and 2 wins against the Grizzlies, and had almost took one from the Nuggets. Him and Ben Simmons had a solid game, which we have not seen in a while. With the stat line of 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists this season, he is averaging 6 points this season to go along with his 6 rebounds and 6 assists in just 24 minutes this season. There are many other teams that are playing well this season. The Cavs are 8-0 to start the season. It is very surprising, but they are still a really good team. OKC Thunder are also undefeated with them at 7-0. I wonder which team will lose first. The Celtics are doing what they're expected. Philadelphia 76ers just can't be healthy. With Paul George and Joel Embiid out, the 76ers are struggling early with a 1-5 record. And everyone else is doing what they expect to do, but it's also early and a lot of things could change. The Jazz were the only winless team until they beat the Bulls last night. We're only 6 or 7 games into the season, so these were my over and underachievers of the way too early NBA season.